Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Hayden City Council. Could I have a roll call of the council members, please?
Council President Roeder,
Present.
Councilmember DePriest.
Here.
Councilmember Yes. And Councilmember White.
Yes.
I'd like to ask Council President Roeder to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does anyone on council have any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and proceed. For you ladies and gentlemen that may not come here very often, just to introduce you to the folks along here, we have our city staff along the windows there. And our next order of business is the consent calendar. Consent calendar, we use a consent calendar because there are many items of city business that happen day to day, but they still eventually require the approval of council. So we're going to go through that consent calendar now. Okay, 4, the approval of the June 14th, 2022 City Council Workshop Meeting minutes. 1B, the approval of the June 14th, 2022 City Council Meeting minutes. 1C, approval of City Council memo to approve the payment to the 2022 Hayden's Got Talent winners. 1D, approval of World Pay merchant application for upgraded Hamilton kiosk at the Honeysuckle Beach. 1E, for approval of the City of Post Falls 2022 intergovernmental agreement to provide prosecution services. And for 1F, approval of bills for payment. Council members, do we have any discussion on any of these items? Yes, sir. Councilmember DePriest.
Thank you. Just a couple. On item 1E, the prosecutor services contract.
Yes.
It says they compute the amount in a way we are going to discuss further. Is that going to be a discussion with us or a discussion between staff and how they're going to compute them?
With the staff and prosecution service. So in the past, we used the county. We were unable to get any statistics on how many cases, what cases were resolved and all that. They were putting that together for us. But they had the number of cases there. This isn't pulling up. I think it was like 284 cases that they've handled. I asked them, how many hours have you spent? Anyways.
At the county or Post Falls?
The Post Falls.
Okay.
So we use Post Falls. This would be our second year to use them. They've been very responsive. The amount that they computed we would owe for this next year, it would be much higher, but they agreed to just that 10% increase going up to $55,000. And so we thought, well, let's move forward with it. I'll get you regular, like quarterly reports from them on disposition of cases and hours and things like that. So they're trying to break that down for us. If you don't feel comfortable, we could probably approve it at the next meeting as well. I felt comfortable enough knowing that we're getting a good deal for prosecution services that I figured we can move forward with another year using Post Falls.
It says here that it says we had 340 cases for the year, which is more than they expected.
Yeah.
And you don't have any kind of breakdown of the types of cases, do you?
No, I've asked them for that.
Okay, are they going to try and get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have,
Okay, thank you. Also, bills, I guess this is probably going to be Sandy. Are you there?
He's online.
Hello, Sandy Rudy.
I am.
Hi. On page 4 of 14, City of Coeur d'Alene, CDA TV, Public Broadcasting Station, 1666. What is that?
That's the amount that we pay for them to broadcast our council meetings over their CDA public TV.
So are they tagging into the feed that's coming out of here that we're recording? And how are they?
You would have to talk to Michael about the specifics.
But are they, so Coeur d'Alene TV, are they broadcasting this right now, or is it like a later?
No, it's recorded and Michael takes it to them and they put it on the cable channel and it runs multiple times.
And we pay them $1,666 to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember DePriest?
No.
Okay. Any other council member have any other questions?
Mayor, I have one, if I may.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Council President Roder.
This is regarding on page 7 of 14 to Iteris, which is a development impact fee study update. And I'm wondering, my understanding is that I thought FCS was doing a impact fee study for us. Or do we have two different consultants working on that?
We do. We have two different consultants working on it.
They're providing the traffic data, the ITS. FCS is a financial company, so they're doing more on the financial numbers and the, just, the computations, but we needed some work done on computing additional information on different intersections and specific information to compute the impact fees.
And that would
Yes, two different consultants,
That would include 3 impact fees that the city charges.
two. So circulation of roads and parks.
Okay, and so the public safety building is no longer being, okay, so we're just looking at 2.
Until we have a project, we can't collect on
Okay.
that, yeah.
That's all I have, thank you.
We have any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, I would appreciate a motion from council to accept the consent calendar.
So motion.
Will hear a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Yes. Council President Roder?
Yes.
And Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to section 2 of our agenda tonight, it is our visitor and public comment section. Any of you that would like to comment on any subject, feel free to do so. We would ask only that you fill out a form from the back there, giving us your name and address, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, if you bring that up, that'd be great. Okay, I will do that.
We have a public hearing.
And, sir, just a minute, I'll call you up in just a moment, okay?
Good.
Thank you.
I almost-
Yes, sir, that'd be great if you'd bring that up. Anyone that has a forum, please bring it up. We'd be happy to entertain it. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I would like to start off our public comment section with an introduction of Ken Windrum, our Hayden Area Sewer Board Manager. And Ken, I know you have something you'd like to talk about.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ken Windrum. I'm the administrator and responsible charge operator for the Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board in beautiful Hayden, Idaho. What I've given council, and I've got some sitting on the corner there, is our clean water story. Every day, homes and businesses discharge pollution to the Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board. So anything that goes down the drain comes to us. And it is our job to clean it, clean enough so that we can send it to the Spokane River or reuse it out at the reuse farm out on Hutter and Baco Road. When the pollution comes to the plant, the first thing we do is we take out the rocks, the grit, the sand, eggshells, coffee grinds. That's pretty easy. Then we start working on the trash. The trash is the stuff that people send down the pipe that really shouldn't go down the pipe. I'd like to remind the audience and the people on the TV, toilets are not trash cans. Especially the Broadmoor and Strawberry Field development, they feed the H5 pump station, and we've seen a significant increase in sewage pump station pluggings over the last several months. H5 is the deepest station within the city of Hayden. It's 35 feet deep. I have to send 3 operators out to make sure no one falls in the hole, raise the pump up, clean it, and then put it back down. All because sewer users are using the toilet as a trash can. So please put the pee and the poop and the TP in the toilet and the trash in the trash can. Once we do that, we're left with an organic soup. And it does look like soup. We take that soup and we feed it to bacteria. And just like you eat soup and you survive with it, makes you feel good, you get full, you go run around, do whatever you need to do, the bacteria do the same thing. They actually convert that organic soup into more bacteria. Once they've finished eating, we put them in a tank and then they separate. The clean water gets disinfected and sent to the river or out to the farm, and the bacteria become biosolids. And the biosolids are used for agriculture. Currently, we send it to Washington, and they're growing soft white wheat on our biosolids, and our farmers are very enthusiastic to get it because they get carbon, they get nitrogen, they get phosphorus, and they get macro and micronutrients, which they can't buy anywhere. And then this is our environmental protection team. We work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 a year to clean the pollution that comes from homes and businesses. My primary reason for coming today is to invite council to come out and visit the facility. We're spending currently on a project to clean the water even more, about $24 million. And some of the council members have been out. Councilman DePriest hasn't made it yet. Councilman White was out last fall in the rain. So I encourage you to come out and take a look what we're doing. It's a much nicer time of year to be out there, and you can see the progress we're making on the project and where your money is going. That's all I got. Any questions?
Yeah, how do you handle pharmaceuticals and all the, do you see opiates and heroin and fentanyl? Do you see that in the water stream?
We have reports, it's in the water stream. We don't monitor that. It's not a requirement. We only do what's required because we don't want you to pay any more than you have to.
But could you actually see it and measure it so that you can actually tell?
I have been told you can. We don't do that.
Okay, and my second question.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt. Actually, Ken was speaking only to the council, and you'll have to get a hold of him after the meeting to ask him more questions. Sorry about that.
Well, then I'll ask a question. It kind of tags on along there. Without getting too graphic, I guess, what are you seeing coming through the toilets that are causing the clogs?
Wipes are the big no-nos. We see shirts, we see diapers, we see razor blades, we see hypodermic needles, which is a real challenge to the operators because when you're inside a pump trying to pull out the rags and you get jabbed with a hypodermic needle, that's an issue for the manager. So we don't need the hypodermic needles. Dental floss, you don't think anything about dental floss, but it gets wrapped around the shaft of the impeller and it creates a problem for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Your tour was most entertaining when I took it here a month or
Good,
so ago.
good. Well, come back again.
All right. For the remainder of our commenters tonight, I was reminded just before the last council meeting that since all of these proceedings are broadcast instantly on YouTube, that it is no longer appropriate to ask folks to give their address when they come up to comment. We have your address here on your comment forms. We will ask that only that you provide your name and whether or not you are a citizen of the city of Hayden. First person I'd like to ask to come forward that I have here is Thomas Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer, just because you're kind of the first person tonight, you've got 5 minutes, and the city clerk will raise her hand at the 4-minute mark to let you know how your time is going.
Okay, well, I hope I won't take up 5 minutes. Thank you.
Go ahead. It's open.
Thank you for hearing me, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Thomas Schaefer, and I will tell you I live in the Rocking R development, and I don't know if everybody else here is aware of where that is. And before I tell you what I'm here to speak about, I want to preface it by saying that I am a firm believer in property rights. I think that they are the bedrock of our society, and I think that what people are permitted or do on their own private property is their own business. However, within the bounds of good citizenry and consideration of your neighbors. For example, if you had a lake on your property and you dammed it up or you polluted it you are going to be affecting all of your neighbors downstream. And if that is a source of drinking water, you are going to be affecting the greater community that may depend on that water for consumption. So why I'm here speaking today is regarding this new development, the Stone Creek North development, which is north of Rocking R and the existing Stone Creek development. Now, one of my friends and colleagues here is going to speak to this in greater detail, and I'm not going to go into the minutia. But what I am here to say is that I object to what is currently going on there right now, and I understand it to be happening without due consideration and protection of an existing wetland which feeds the aquifer for the greater Prairie area. And my colleague and friend who will be speaking about this will cite state and county and municipal regs that he believes, and through research and his experience, are being violated. So I am here only to speak and add emphasis to the presentation and the discussion he will lead regarding this subject. It concerns me. I'm not against development. I am a beneficiary of development. I live in a very nice home on Rocking R thanks to development. And we want to be able to make the supply affordable for people who move here. But that supply cannot be at the expense of our neighbors and the environment in which we live and we cherish so much. And I'm done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comment. Our next commenter is Mr. Paul Mallow. And sir, if you would please state your name and whether or not you are a citizen of Hayden.
My name is Paul Malo, and I am a resident of Hayden.
Thank you.
Okay, my subject is growth in Hayden. Hayden's 20-year comprehensive plan really focuses on growth. If we look at Orange County 60 years ago, when Walt Disney was first building Disneyland, the film showed the basic of Disneyland surrounded by orange groves. Consider Post Falls with apartments exploding across the plain. The last election, 2 new city council representatives were elected on promises of slow growth and amending that comprehensive plan. Hayden voters did not like a growth plan. I think the traffic circle project at Honeysuckle and 4th gives us a preview of what's going to happen on Government Way when the Hayden Canyon project is complete. It's going to be heavily loaded with automobiles. We're looking at 1,800 plus new residences. And there are issues to be addressed. What is the law enforcement plan? Our sheriff has told us where density increases, crime increases, and we've been told we are woefully understaffed for law enforcement. Secondly, what is fire protection plan? We are told there has been budget for a ladder, a hook and ladder truck, but no staffing. Again, that represents an issue. What about the aquifer? What plans do we have to make sure we have adequate replenishment of the aquifer when we start putting housing across what was previously open land and forest? The obvious answer is increased taxes. There will be more bonds, there will be more levies, there will be more taxes. And the quality of life in Hayden will be forever changed. And it'll happen on your watch.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Next is Mr. Paul Akiyama. And sir, if you would state your name and whether or not you're a resident of the city of Hayden.
My name is Paul Akiyama, and I am a resident of this great city of Hayden. Ken, thank you very much for what you do with our sewers, this growing community. We understand your job is becoming challenging. I apologize in advance as I will read our 5-minute comment, and which you'll get a copy of. in the interest of time and accuracy of content, I shall read our public comment about the documented wetlands and stream in the Stone Creek North proposed subdivision. Since 2020, our community has shared concerns with city staff and council members pertaining to project elements and correlating codes, including stormwater management, fire apparatus access, and wetlands. To date, city staff has reviewed the third edition of the construction documents with direction to the applicant to revise and resubmit, with no mention of the wetlands. Clearing and logging operations have begun. Due to the urgency of this matter, we shall focus on the wetlands and stream. Before continuing, it is important for you to understand that we are not anti-development and do not intend to stop responsible, code-complying development. Our interest is to encourage the city to apply the wetland codes in the review process with the applicant. We wonder why the preliminary plat was approved and the Master Development Agreement, MDA, executed the following day without acknowledgement of the wetlands. Also, recent inquiries about the wetlands continue to be ignored. Now, Rick just put up a board. This board represents a page out of the recent construction document, sheet 5. It's the mass grading plan. The purpose of that board in green, that locates the documented wetlands. That green on the documents represent filling the wetlands with over 30 building lots over that wetland. To your right of that drawing is the existing stream flowing north to south, of which that fill will be pushed along the west shoreline of the stream, channelizing the stream, which flows off-site and behind Maroon Creek Homes and Rocking R Homes. Previously, wetlands have been addressed in public meetings and agency documents. In the November 17, 2020 public meeting, council members DeLange, Panabaker, and Satterfile voiced concerns about the wetlands. It was further recorded that council member Satterfile stated, partial quote, "The applicant must follow all of the rules, standards, regulations related to wetlands, stormwater, and geotechnical report," unquote. U.S. Fish and Wildlife mapped and inventoried the wetlands, which are attached to Idaho Department of Environmental Quality letter dated July 22, 2020. The letter testifies, quote, that a portion of the planned Stone Creek North subdivision is designated wetlands, unquote. The Department of Army Regulatory Division in a 2019 letter addressed to the property owner, which attached wetlands delineation map and approved jurisdictional determination form states, so quote, the delineation identified 8.35 acre wetland, and then continues to quote, the area we observe met the 3-part definition of wetland. So Rick is going to point to the Department of the Army, this board right here, and just real brief, this board right here on the right, that's the documentation from the U.S. Army, of which you'll get a copy of. And also the pretty pictures with the green on it on Rick's board there, that is the wetland on the very bottom on the site, fed by upstream wetlands on the other side of Lancaster.
These are upstream.
Am I already done?
Close.
One more minute.
Okay, so and those are also in your packet. The wetland and stream has significant environmental value to our community. It is located in the Spokane Valley, Rafton Prairie Aquifer Recharge Area known as CARES. An excerpt from the Aquifer Atlas, partial quote, land uses and human activities on the Aquifer Recharge Area have a significant and measurable effect on the water quantity and quality of the aquifer. And furthermore states, the Idaho CARES are beginning to experience development that could affect the water quality of the aquifer. We have spoken with over 100 community residents that shared sincere concerns about this project. The petition that you will receive as a representation of their voices. The petition requests, in the interest of health, safety, and general welfare of the city, its residents of Rathdrum Prairie and Spokane Valley, please consider modifying, amending the MDA in accordance with MDA Section 7.3 to include protection of the wetlands and stream by following procedures outlined in the City of Hayden Code 1234, paragraphs 19D2. Second, consider postponing the clearing and logging operations until the construction plans have been revised and improved to include protection of the wetlands and stream. The construction improvement agreement has been executed and a pre-construction conference has been completed between the developer and the city in accordance with MDA Section 4.5. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Please be our advocates in protecting the wetlands and stream. The health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of Hayden, Rathdrum Prairie, and the Spokane Valley are depending on your leadership.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have anyone else that would like to make a public comment this evening? Okay. You better ask Fonda first.
No.
I'm asking to stick around to the end.
You can speak with him afterwards,
No,
absolutely.
I want to make a comment about towards the end of the,
You have your public comment period, or you have your council member comment period at the end?
that's what I want to talk about. Can I comment about that?
Still folks to stick around.
Yeah, stick around.
Yeah.
Until the end, that's all I want to say, because we have it's called the Mayor Council Roundtable Discussion, and some of the things that have been brought up here, I intend on making some comments about them.
Moving on to our next section. We have a commission report from Mr. John Young, who is the chairman of the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency. Mr. Young, nice to see you tonight.
Nice to see you. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I apologize for my voice. Last week, the allergies got the best of me, but I'm on the mend, so I'll try and speak as clearly as I can. So thank you for inviting us. As part of our partnership with the City of Hayden, the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency wants to make sure that we're aligned with what the City of Hayden's goals are in terms of development and traffic mitigation and other projects within the current urban renewal district. Currently, we are posting for an executive director. As the city has grown, our ability to work, or not our ability, but we've currently used city staff to provide an executive director position for the council. And that doesn't work for the city right now. It doesn't work for HURA because we need some more help. We have 7 years left in this current district. And we believe as a council, as an urban renewal agency council, we believe that we have a lot of work to get done to help the city of Hayden deal with some of the issues in the urban renewal district. So we're posting for an executive director so that we have somebody that can commit more hours to our agency. We also have 2 HURA board meetings that are opening in September of 2022. They're currently filled by Councilman Matt Roeder and Rhonda Mitchell. Per our process that we put in place last year, we will post these openings on the city website and look for applications. We have an obligation to go ahead and to recommend. We can't give you a slate of candidates. We can recommend some candidates to fill those positions. And we're hopeful that both Matt and Rhonda both reapply for those positions. They've been great members and supporters of the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency. We've got a workshop scheduled for July 11th. Pretty excited about that. It's going to be an opportunity for our board members to get together with the council members and the mayor and staff and talk about how we can work together to take what I fondly call the Walmart money, the money that we get as part of the district, and reinvest it in our city. And for the audience members, some of the projects that we've done that we've reinvested in the city is 15 years ago, all the improvements at Government Way were paid by the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency. So that's Walmart tax money paying for that. The improvements to the Hayden Avenue between Highway 95 and Government Way, that was paid by Urban Renewal Agency dollars.
So we're committed as an agency to go ahead and work with the city and certainly try and do everything we can to work on, to help support these projects that are coming up. We have, one of the reasons that we are really excited about engaging or putting a executive director in place is we believe we have some opportunities for infill or of expansion of the existing district in the 8 years that we have, or 7 years that we have left. There's some traffic projects, mitigation projects that would benefit if some infill areas were included within the district. And that'll be one of the items that we want to talk about in great detail on July 11th. Just kind of a big picture, everybody asks how big the district is and what can we do. Currently, the districts, urban renewal districts, are capped at being 10% of the assessed value of the jurisdiction that it's in. And currently, we're just around 8%. So we do have the ability to expand or infill this district before it sunsets in 2029. We also can look at other areas outside of this district and have some other smaller districts. We can have more than one district to try and achieve the goals of the City of Hayden and the Urban Renewal Agency. One of the things, kind of a misconception that I want to clear up, is everybody wonders what happens to Urban Renewal Agency dollars when it does sunset. So if we have money left in 2029 when this district sunsets, those dollars do go back. Unfortunately, they go back pro rata, proportionally to all the taxing districts that were included in the Urban Renewal Agency district. And the real bad news is Kootenai County and the local fire district are going to get the majority of those money, because if you look at your tax bill, those are the two biggest entities that we all pay taxes to in the city of Hayden. And unfortunately, Hayden's clear down at the bottom. So I think our goal as an urban renewal agency is to try and reinvest these monies in the city of Hayden before we get to that point. Any questions?
I have a question for you, John.
Yes, Mayor.
You mentioned earlier about establishing new districts. What is the time frame that you can put on the sunset date of an establishment and elimination of a district? Could you do that in just a couple of years? Do you need long-term?
State statute allows up to 22 years for a district. Okay. But City of Post Falls has done an incredible job there. Urban Renewal Agency has done an incredible job of creating very short-term districts that got the projects done that the city and the Urban Renewal Agency identified. They got those projects done, they closed the district out. So there's some real good mechanisms we can use to go ahead and find projects that could benefit the city of Hayden.
Tell me what you mean by very short term.
They've had some districts closed out in 5 to 7 years.
Okay, good. All right.
Any further questions?
Questions? Sandra?
Hi, I have
Yes,
a couple
Sandy.
questions for you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah. So a lot of people aren't familiar with urban renewal districts and what they mean. Could you just share a mission statement with us?
Well, I don't know about a mission statement, but I can talk about how they work. How's that?
Thank you.
Give you my 30,000 foot view. So what an urban renewal district is and what an urban renewal agency can do is at the point when a district is established, it freezes the assessed tax value in that district. And then whatever growth happens in that district for the time frame of the district, that growth in the assessed value, the tax increment on that goes into the district to fund projects. Is that 30,000 footish enough?
Yeah. So could you explain your district, what are the parameters of the?
Of the size of this district?
What are the, like on the map, where is it?
Oh, that's a tough one. Primarily, it runs up Government Way. It starts just north of Prairie Avenue, covers the majority of both sides of Government Way, going all the way up to Lancaster. It continues west on Lancaster and then follows out to, it goes, let's see, to the west to Buckles, I believe. And then it kind of pieces and parts and goes back over to Highway 95 and picks up some of the west side of Highway 95, primarily the commercial corridor.
Okay. Just for everyone's information, if you go on your website, there is a map.
There is a map.
There is a map, okay. So also, tell me, just for the sake of the audience here, when and where do you have your meetings, and are they open to the public?
Our meetings are held here typically the second Monday of every month at 3 p.m. They're held here in the council chambers, and the public is welcome to attend.
Okay, one more thing. I was just thinking, some of the areas that we have with greatest concern are taxes and crime. And the sheriff was saying that some of the greatest areas of crime in Hayden are Walmart and the bars up and down Government Way, Triple Play, Super One. And I believe all of those are in the urban renewal district. So I was just wondering if there was a way we can tap the HURA resources to pay for some of our sheriff.
Urban Renewal Agency monies are limited to payment of public infrastructure and aiding private development to remove blight. An example of that is the little trailer park that used to be back behind Capone's. Because it was basically condemned, we partnered with that developer and they're through a tax increment payment to go ahead and help them remove all those trailers for that new multifamily facility that's there.
Thank you for answering those.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilmember White, any other comments or questions? All right. John, thank you very much for showing up tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
All right, thank you. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing. We have the Gregory request to vacate a sewer easement. Who on the, there we go. All right, there she is.
So you have to forgive staff, but none of our computers are hooking to the internet, so we're running blind over here.
Okay.
So just as a matter of interest.
For the members of the public that are here tonight, for this public hearing, the way this will work is that our staff is going to introduce the subject case, then the applicant will present their request, and the staff will present a summary of the staff report that pertains to the request. We will have the opportunity then for public comment, and then the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut it. I will then close the public hearing and we will have council deliberations and a council decision, hopefully. Donna, it's all yours, if you can get in there. Yeah.
Just give me a minute and a half here. I apologize for the mask. My husband was one of the lucky souls that caught the lucky bug last week. So it's a precautionary measure for others. Okay. So tonight we are looking at a public hearing for a vacation of a sewer easement area. So just to give a little background, in 1988, a sewer line easement was granted to the city of Hayden. In 2012, the existing dwelling unit was constructed. And in October of 2021, the current owner acquired the property. In April of this year, we received a request for a variance to allow construction of a wall and a gate along the front property lines, and that was submitted to the city. And when you submit for variance, you do a title report and you get a radius report, and that's part of the application process. And in the title report, that's what flagged this sewer easement. So then we went hunting for it because we were trying to figure out where this sewer easement was across this piece of property. And so it was recognized during that variance process that the sewer easement ran kind of kittywampus across a portion of the front of the property, not all of the property, just a corner of it. And that sewer line had been abandoned and the line had gone in place of it. And, but either way, the fence location where they want to put the fence is across that easement, and the sewer line has been abandoned. But you can't put a structure in an existing easement. That's just kind of the rules. So As part of that variance approval, it was, one of the conditions of the approval was the request for the vacation of the sewer easement, and that's why we're here tonight. So,
Donna, I know you're going to get into some maps on this, but for the benefit of the audience, could you just
yep,
generally mention?
I'm heading there.
Okay.
I'm heading there. So the existing conditions are one parcel that's about 1.028 acres, and it's developed with a single-family residence, and it's the only residence in this section. Trying to find, let's see if I have a good map. Oops, let's do this map. It's the only residence that's along 4th Street between Prairie Avenue and Honeysuckle Avenue. So, this is a vacation for the sewer easement that I believe runs across this corner, kind of kittywampus across this corner, and kind of goes out. We do have record drawings that are part of it that I'll show later that'll kind of not really help either, but kind of show you where it's at. In the staff review that you had, that Zach had put together before he left, he had the actual easement language that was in his staff review and the drawings that were provided as well. So with that, the applicants are here tonight. We have Jack Gregory, John Avila, and Braden. I don't know if they're all three here or not. They are. Raise your hands. Good job. And they're going to be here to present the request for the vacation of that sewer easement. Is this the picture you want me to leave up?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. It. All right, I will pass it to them.
You bet.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jack Gregory, resident of Hayden, and thank you, council and mayor, for taking our appeal and for this vacation. We purchased the property in October last year. If you don't mind, I'll take just a little time to run a review of what's transpired, if you allow me.
Certainly.
Purchased it in October, and we looked at all the documents and everything that we got from the title company, and upon the purchase, we saw, we received the 2009 and 2011 building permits, which showed beautiful landscape, it showed the road, it showed a wall along the property line, and beknownst to us, when after we've lived there for a while, there's a number of problems that happen in regards to security. And people thinking that this house, everybody seems to know this house. And let me back up a minute. We're new, we're from, my wife and I, Carol, are from Arizona. We moved here in October. We're moving our business here. We still work, and we have three generations living in the house with us. And this house actually is kind of made for us because it was, I guess, designed as a bed and breakfast. So we can all retreat to our little cubbies when we don't get along, but we have a common area when we are getting along. So anyway, so what happened was we had a number of instances. I won't repeat all the instances we had, but recently we had an instance 2 weeks ago because they're building a roundabout, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we reported to the sheriff a truckload of guys came in running through that roundabout area under construction, I guess looking for loose equipment or looking to steal the brass off the fire pump right there. But one of our grandsons, who's a working adult, called the sheriff's department and made a report on it. So anyway, this kind of led to the fact that we had people pulling into the place, pulling into our house, parking. There's some off-site parking. There's like this parking right in here. They pull in, park there, drink, and whatever, And so we'd have to chase them out. And one of our grandsons chased him out with he was carrying and scared the people. And anyway, so we thought, well, we need to build a fence. We need to, because this could get ugly, eventually. And so we talked to Donna and talked to the staff, and they told us that, you can only build a 4-foot fence. And I was thinking, well, I'm new to the area, and I drive all over this area, and I see these arbor plants and all that, 20 feet in the front yard and everything. And I did see a couple of them down at the lake, at Hayden Lake, there's a couple of houses right there that has a fence right right in front of the house, about 10 foot. So anyway, I find out that to build a 6-foot fence, we had to get a variance in the front yard. And so I was thinking, okay, well, I'd like to build a privacy wall. So I checked out building a block wall, but a block wall is permanent. Then this guy from CDA Precast came to us and showed us this precast wall that's beautiful, and it can be removed. The panels are 13 foot, and those panels can be lifted out. They just slide in these sleeves. And so we decided to go that route. And we went to the commissioners and appealed to them to get a variance to build that. And they voted unanimously to do that. And part of the conditions was we must get a building permit from the city and also get the vacation of the easement, which is kind of, that easement, wherever it is kind of a gray area. We received documents from the staff that shows the easement was abandoned in 1996 when the new sewer was built. And let's see, okay, so anyway, you know what, folks, I'm nervous because this has been a long process, and we're getting settled in the house with 3 generations, and all this was thrown on me, and I'm trying to move my business. The corporation is we got attorneys domesticating it in Idaho right now to get relief from Arizona. And so anyway, we needed the vacation of the permit, and then also there was a requirement of a 26, if we wanted a gate for security, and we had submitted a document that showed the gate at the, where the property line is, and from the, give you a little background, this was the old railroad easement. And I've got a map that's supplied from the county, or from the city, that shows abandoned LE railroad and abandoned sewer easement on that map that I received. Okay, but when they built the road where over here, these properties, it's only 17 feet from here to the edge of the roadway. Our property, there's 35 feet. And so, according to the city ordinance, to have a gate on this thoroughfare, we have to go 26 foot inside. And 26 foot would put it right in the middle of this, parking area, plus it's 10 feet from our house. And that just didn't seem logical to me, but we're getting disgusted with the whole thing, so I was thinking, okay, well, I called Donna, or I emailed her, and said, how about if we split the difference? How about if we go 13 feet, which will put it right in here somewhere? So that's 13 and 35, so that gives 48 feet. Now, we're not going to get a truck and trailer coming to our house. We may get a motorhome every now and then, somebody turning in, but the 64 feet or whatever they wanted to require, it just wasn't realistic. So here we are, and so that sewer's been abandoned, and I looked up on as much as I can online about case history on abandonments and when they've been when they're replaced by another improvement, and they're abandoned, and there's a time lapse like 20 years or so. Well, it's been 26 years, and I don't know, I may have missed something, but that's okay. That's all I got. Okay.
Mr. Gregory.
But one more thing. That wall, we were going to build a 4-foot wall anyway, and so we had the foundation and everything. We proceeded with the wall. I told the guy, because the road's closed, and it would cost $150 an hour for us to have the highway guys, out there with flags and all that stuff. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's going to be a nice welcome to Hayden. It's a great kickoff, and everybody knows that home, and I'll tell you, it's awesome. It looks great. Any questions?
Before you sit down,
Yeah.
at this point now, council gets to ask you some questions about this, so take a deep breath and all's good, okay?
Okay, be careful, because I graduated with a PE scholarship, so I'm limited in verbal.
I understand. Do any members of council have any questions for Mr. Gregory?
I do have one. I just want to be clear that the sewer easement that's on there, that's an easement that the city of Hayden
Yes.
owns. Is it being used at all for any reason by the city currently?
No, the city reported it hadn't been used in 26 years. And I talked to the gentlemen that were, with the roundabout, that they were putting big T's in there, and they were saying, that new sewer that they put in, I don't know when they put that in, but it's more than adequate, and maybe Donna can follow that up. But all the documents we received, it says it was abandoned in 1996. And then I did get a text an email saying that somebody on the staff had said like 1988, but I don't think that was correct. I think that was when the easement was put on the property in 1988.
I'd like to ask a question of our Public Works Director, Alan Soderling. Alan, just because you are the man on this, is this truly abandoned?
That is my responsibility on the sewer, yes.
Okay.
That line has been abandoned. The sewer easement is not in use, nor does the city see any need for that sewer easement in the future.
So you find absolutely no possibility that in the future we would need that? Because I understand from Mr. Gregory that the sewer easement is right underneath where he wants to put his fence.
Well, I think it's a little hard to figure out where it's at, but with a lot of research we could figure it out, but we're not probably ever going to use it, so.
All right. Mr. Gregory, I do have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
And I was not able to be at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, but in reviewing the packet that city provided for us here, in your initial request for a fence, you said that you would like to keep out unwanted four-legged creatures such as wolves, bears, and coyotes, since we have pets and a one-year-old great-granddaughter who visits quite often. As mayor, I'm not sure that I want our city to be known for frequent attacks by these types of animals.
Well, I can't take responsibility for that. I'll point that to that paragraph. That paragraph was one of my grandsons. So I'm pointing the finger at him. But wild animals or whatever you're saying, yeah, like bears and all. We did see a moose the other night. The other night, all this territory here, which is really great, is all this open, I think there's 13 or 15 acres there. There's all kinds of deer and a couple big bucks that live there. And like I said, the other night, there was a moose there. And by the way, on our wall or fence, it's removable. It's a removable structure, okay? Because Kootenai Water District, we put a wall across here and here, and there's a fire hydrant. The fire department wanted to see it was from the road. They want to be able to see the fire hydrant. But there's a water easement right through here, and Kootenai Water came out. We were a little concerned that they wouldn't approve that, but they understood that panel could be taken off. And they can shut the water off. There's a shut off here, and there's a shut off there, if for some reason there was ever a break or something like that. So that wasn't going to be a problem.
Mr. Gregory, you're good on the fence. We just need to decide what we're going to do about that sewer easement.
Oh, yeah, that's...
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
and
you.
you will have an opportunity to rebut any public comment that we may have. But first, we have the staff that will present the summary of the staff review on this.
I don't really have a lot more to add, in all honesty. That's a picture of the property from 4th Street as you're looking at it. As Mr. Gregory noted, they have picked up their permit and they have constructed a portion or all of the wall at this point in time. And in the staff review, it does identify conditions because they knew that this would be required to happen as far as their fence. If their fence did get built and the vacation of easement was not approved at tonight, they would be required to remove their fence from that easement. They were made aware of that, and that was a condition of the building permit when it was issued. But he does make valid argument as far as putting it in now while the road's closed. So this is the record drawing that we kind of showed that's in your packets that we kind of wanted to make available. And so that's why it's hard to tell where this easement is in relationship to his particular piece of property. But this piece is what has been abandoned and replaced. So then just Idaho Code Title 50, 1306A, Section 5 is what addresses vacations of easements. And it requires a public notice process. And so as part of that, we did notice 15 agencies that are basically all of the utility providers that would potentially have need for this particular easement, although it was specifically identified as a city easement for city sewer. We just wanted to make sure that we hadn't missed somebody inadvertently. And we did receive 4 comments back. All of them had no comments and no objections. Coeur d'Alene Airport, Kootenai Electric, Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board, and Panhandle Health District. Notice was mailed to 38 adjacent property owners, and you received a memo with your staff analysis that were 2 in support of the vacation of the easement if the sewer line was indeed abandoned and was not used. And so a vacation of easement is either a yes or a no. There isn't a condition conversation, and aren't any specific standards that you have to meet in order to get to the yes or the no. But it's important that at the time you choose to go yes or no, you give us some reasons why you're making that decision so we can put those in the record.
All right.
Questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Abby put up public comment forms
Yes.
in the back just like 2 seconds ago. So
at this point in our public hearing, we have an opportunity for public comment. If any of you would care to comment on the proposal in front of us, which is to vacate the easement, if you would please fill out a comment form at the back and bring it up to us, we would be happy to listen to what you have to say. I'm hearing no opportunities for public comment. We have none here, so we'll call that done. I hereby close.
Oh, wait, the applicant has an opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Gregory, after the amount of public comment that we have, you have an opportunity to rebut any public comment. Would you care to make any rebuttal statements?
Rebuttal? No, I'd just like to thank Donna for working with us and accepting the compromise. And so appreciate all the help. And we're going to be good citizens of Hayden, I'll guarantee it. There's 6 of us. So, and more coming, so.
That's what we're afraid of, okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, at this point, I will close this public hearing. Now we will have council deliberations. Council members, do we have any comments, questions, or observations? Yes, sir. Councilmember DePriest.
Thank you. Well, to me, it's a no-brainer, really. It's been vacant since, how long, 26 years? Whatever.
90s.
Yeah. And there's no anticipated potential that it's going to be, for some reason, reused or whatever it is. I think we need to approve it.
Council President Roeder, do you have any comments or observations?
No, I think it's a good thing for the resident and for the city to take care of this. I'm supportive of it.
Thank you. Councilmember White, do you have anything to add?
Just don't increase the density too much.
Councilmember Satterfield, do you have anything to add or say?
You know, I think it's fine. Just want to make sure Mr. Gregory understands, and I know we're not dealing with fences. We have some very innovative deer, moose, coyotes and stuff, so you may have to go further than a fence. So I think it's fine.
Thank you. We are finished with council comments. At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve or deny the sewer easement. Councilmember DePriest.
I would motion to approve PZE 220059 Gregory easement vacation request.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any further deliberations or comments? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
And Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Gregory. Moving now on to our section of the council meeting that we have our reports. We first have our city administrator report. City Administrator, Mr. Brett Boyer. Brett, what did you
A couple items. Several of us went down to the Association of Idaho Cities conference, and there actually were really some good classes down there and some good speakers. One was on growth, and I think Matt and Scott were both there. We brought back some notes, and we can maybe share those notes with the others on that. And then there were just other classes that we were able to take on different topics. And so appreciate the Association of Idaho Cities and that opportunity. This Thursday at 4, we plan on continuing our budget work. So we'll be here. It's open to the public, and we'll be going through the latter part of the budget. Look at sewer and impact fees and other general fund items. This Thursday, also at the same time, while we're in here, at 6, the first summer concert series, the big bands will be here at 6 out here in the park. That's always been a big hit, a fun time as we kick off summer. There's 7 of those concerts throughout the summer, and so I plan on attending those. There was a question before on the triathlon that's coming up on the 9th. It's a Saturday morning. It starts at 7 a.m. And it starts down at Honeysuckle. And so just be aware if you're interested in watching them kick that off. And then it was mentioned July 11th, our joint meeting with HURA. Plan on being there and maybe think about some ideas as far as projects, things that we can suggest to HURA that we want to get done. I know that we talked about particularly the Government Way intersection. We learned some things, at least I did, ask some questions on the urban renewal and that boundary and whether or not we can look at Government Way and Honeysuckle, expound those boundaries and maybe use some of that money to improve that intersection. So we can talk about that as well. So those are the main items. There were a couple, there's one follow-up in relation to the school district. We're trying to meet with the school superintendent, and I'm hoping at the next time, see if they'll be willing to come talk here. But I'm hoping the mayor and I can go spend some time with the new superintendent as well, and get some information from them. So anyways, that's just a quick report on the things that have, unless there's any other questions. I maybe take a minute from Alan on the roundabout. We went out, it's exciting to see it paved. Maybe give an update on where we're at and where it's going, Alan.
Well, I don't know that I have a good update because my meeting is tomorrow. And I have been so buried, I have not had a chance to even follow up yesterday or today to even see where that's at. So,
as far as opening, have they given you any?
As far as I know, it's the same, but I do have some messages from the engineer concerned with scheduling, and I have not been able to respond to those yet. I will, after our meeting tonight, I'll be calling and finding out what it is. Be my first opportunity.
So hopefully we'll let you know. The goal was to be open for the 4th. at least, temporarily, and then reopen. And we talked about having a little ribbon cutting on, I think, July 8th or 9th to get it done. Yeah, but the asphalt's down, the concrete's down, it looks like a roundabout. I mean, there's some things that still need to be completed, but it's exciting to see that coming together on time and pretty close to on budget. So Alan's done a great job coordinating that. Appreciate his efforts in getting that project done.
Thank you. We would love to see that roundabout finished, yes. Particularly the folks that answer the phones here. They would really love to see that roundabout finished. All right. Any other reports there, Mr. Boyer?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're now entering into the reports. In the reports section, we have a roundtable discussion. I would like to lead off the discussion by mentioning to the members of council that next council meeting, I would like to have a discussion regarding the Honeysuckle Beach study. We've had that for about 6 weeks now, maybe more, and I'd like to figure out which direction we want to move on it. So I'll just let you folks know about that. That'll be on the next one. Other items?
Looking at me?
No.
Let everybody else go, because I'm
Okay.
going to go for a bit.
Okay. Councilmember White, do you have anything extra to bring up?
Nothing right now, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Satterfield? Okay. Councilmember Roeder?
Yeah, I'd like to report a few things that I learned down at the Idaho Association of Cities. We have a meeting in Boise twice a year, and there's two parts to that where they offer classes on different subjects. And then the other part of it is integrating with other council members and mayors from cities from all over Idaho, from Boise, which is the largest city, to some really small towns. Soda Springs, for example, is like 3,000 people. And you pick up thoughts and ideas, and I wanted to share a couple of highlights, not to go into great detail, but just some of the things that we need to be aware of as a council, and also kind of overall with what cities are facing throughout Idaho. The biggest issue that I've heard about is mismanaged growth. That's a universal issue that translates into there's not enough money. They can't hire firefighters. They can't hire police. So it becomes a staffing issue. Not only are we seeing private businesses that cannot find employees, but the cities are way down in being able to meet the growth. So it's two important issues there is how to fund the growth and then how to staff for the growth. And so we're not the only ones facing that issue, obviously. There's discussion of possibly having school impact fees, and there was a lot of consensus that would be helpful, although we don't have anything to say about school impact fees. That's the schools in the Idaho legislature. However, one of the ideas that was tossed around is that councils, and I would ask that we possibly put this on our agenda, is to meet with our local legislators. We as a city we're a creature of the Idaho legislature. In other words, they build the box that we have to live within. It'd be nice to do a bunch of other things, but they say what we can and can't do. And we need to have really good communication with those legislators because they're the ones that control what we can and can't do. For example, last year, they limited our new construction dollars, which we normally can take 100% of it, which increases our revenues for our property taxes. They said, well, you're getting too much, so we're going to limit it to 90%. So that put a hamstring to some of the things we could do. So I would suggest as an item that we include having breakfast or inviting the legislators and even open it up to the public. But they need to hear our concerns. They need to hear what we're dealing with. And the Idaho legislature has a windfall of all the internet sales taxes that they've collected that they have a lot of money. And it would be nice if somehow they could offset what we can do with that money. That was one other issue. From EPA standpoint, one of the classes I went to was Clean Water Act, and there's something called forever chemicals. This is the new target of the EPA. We are in a, as Ken mentioned to us, $24 million upgrade, which is a regulatory upgrade to clean the chemicals that EPA says you have to do to get your permit to be able to treat the wastewater. The new target will be these forever chemicals, and it's some long chemistry name that I don't remember what it is, but they said that they're concerned about parts not per billion or trillion, but quadrillion. So the EPA is going to say, we're concerned about quadrillion parts per quadrillion, but there's no technology that can even determine that level or dictate that level. So we're going to have to deal with that coming up. And the DEQ is, the Idaho DEQ has oversight of permitting in Idaho, even though the EPA dictates what we can and can't do as treating our sewer affluent. That's on the radar. Now, there's another one that's a big one is, and I don't know, I'm going to ask Alan about this, lead pipe. The EPA is saying, get rid of your lead pipes. Now, I know back east where older cities have a lot of lead pipes, and they want us to inventory any lead pipes that we have within the city. Now, that's not us, though, because that's water purveyors that will be concerned about that. So they'll have to deal with that. That's not, but that's on the EPA's target list also. One of the other things that we discussed was impact fees. And I mean, we have two ways of helping fund our growth, is with increases of taxes or with, which is continual if you change your levy rate or your budget, which are mathematically associated, or we can charge higher impact fees. Now, one of the impact fees that we charge out of the two that we can is parks and circulation. Circulation is how we can use that money to help with our traffic issues, with our roads and our signaling. About 3 years ago, that impact fee was $1,600 for every lot that a builder got a permit for one lot. They'd pay about a $1,600 impact fee. My understanding today, after 3 years, it's $1,800. So that is a drop in the bucket, and I know that we're going to be dealing with an increase in impact fees through FCS, who's doing the study on the financial side of that. And I would like to see us maximize that impact fee to the builder, which the builder will pass on to the homeowner. And so that'll be coming up. But my position is we need to greatly increase that impact fee. Now, lastly, and I'll just close with this, is our comp plan. Our 2040 comp plan, which costs about $500,000 to produce with all the consultants and all the costs associated with that, lacks a financial aspect of that. And what I'm going to ask council is that we include an agenda item to include a financial plan, because our city has geared our comp plan to having 36,000 people here in 2040. So with a low levy rate and a low impact fees, I don't see how we can ever get there. So the question is, can we afford the growth? That's the bottom line of it. If we don't have a way to pay for it, how can we afford it? So with a financial statement, and any good business plan has to have a financial plan. You got to figure out how you're going to pay for something 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So I'm going to ask the council if they would agree to amending the comprehensive plan to include a financial plan so that it can be determined if we can or we cannot pay for this future growth that's predicted for Hayden. And that's all I have.
Thank you. That's good. Councilmember DePriest.
Okay, a couple of things before I get into what I really want to talk about tonight. I read that PILT money, payments in lieu of taxes, are about to be distributed, and that Kootenai County is, if I'm not mistaken, receiving $718,000. Brett, are you aware of the PILT yet, or?
I've heard of it, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
And seeing as Hayden is part of Kootenai County, and the PILT money, as I read it, is not earmarked, but geared to go to help with things like emergency services, sheriff, roads, schools, and the like that might be lacking in other funding. But I would just like to make sure that we work with the county, because I'm assuming they're going to be distributing it, that $718,000. And if possibly a significant portion of that money can be committed to the sheriff in particular, and other things that we may need here in the city that we may be struggling to fund. So that's one thing that I hope we could communicate with them.
With some information Thursday.
What's that?
Thursday.
Okay.
The budget meeting, I'll come with us.
Mr. Dave Chapman is a community officer, or maybe what is, he works, he is deputized, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Deputy Cox, is that correct terminology?
Civilian that works for the sheriff, works with the sheriff's office. He's a volunteer that comes and helps us enforce laws. So he's limited.
He is able to cite for parking and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he deals a lot with Honeysuckle Beach parking and things like that. And I went down there a few weeks ago, and he pointed out some things that he felt would make circulation and parking and the like run more smoothly, especially as we get into this busy time of year down there. And he contacted me day before yesterday down there, and he said it was a mess. It was a zoo, and et cetera. And so I would ask that Alan, Brett, Mayor, myself, whoever else wants to maybe meet with Mr. Chapman to work out a plan to take care of, he feels there's certain needs down there, signage, painting, stripes, et cetera like that, to keep it more organized, but that we look to do that in the very near future, especially as we come into this time of year. Okay. Now, education and knowledge of facts, I think, is very important. And with this interim ordinance that's going on and the future land use map, and just off the top of my head related, and this will probably be a discussion, whether I agree with the financial plan. Now, whether it needs to be incorporated in the comprehensive plan, or if it can be a separate financial plan for the city that incorporates all of the needs, I guess that'll be something that we will determine. But anyways, there's a lot going on online in particular, in the social media and things like that out there regarding residential multifamily, mixed residential, mixed use, et cetera, and that our density is such, and nobody is doing anything about the density, and you guys talk about slowing growth, but you're not doing anything. Well, here's some facts. In the last probably 6 months, I guess it is, related to the purple that you see on the future. Abby, can we put that up, the future land use map, please? The most dense on the future land use map is the mixed use, which is basically apartments over commercial, et cetera. There are 1,518.
This one?
No, that one we'll get to maybe later. Just the regular future land use map.
Okay.
There are 1,518 total mixed use acres on the future land use map, which are earmarked for that type of development. So what have we done to hopefully reduce density primarily? Well, in the last 6 months, council has reduced from 20 dwelling units down to 12 to 15 per acre. Okay, and 12 is the baseline, and please correct me if I misstate anything here, okay? Yeah, that one, thank you. Okay, you get 12 as the base. If you want 13 per acre, you have to add open space, park, not parks, but, you have to take some of that land and make it open space. If you want 14, you have to do that and add additional amenities. If you want the maximum 15, you have to do the previous 2 and more to get the maximum of 15. So between 12 and 15, let's look at the middle. Let's take a number of 13.5 dwelling units per acre. It was 20. Let's use that for an average of 13.5. So we've reduced 6.5 dwelling units per acre for all of that purple on there. 1,518 acres, multiply that by 6.5 units, dwelling units. That's 9,867 potential fewer apartments. If you put 2 people and 2 vehicles in each one of those apartments, you have 19,739 fewer potential people and vehicles as we look out and build into the future. That alone, I think, is a significant reduction of the future potential density that originated on this comprehensive plan that people are talking about. Secondly, just maybe it was the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, an ordinance was passed, which all of that purple, the Hutter bypass is on the left there. You can see it winding up in gray. Excuse me.
Could you point to the color that's purple?
Okay, purple, this is all designated mixed use. Okay, here's the Hutter bypass. All of this property contiguous. This, and this, which is 856 acres. Okay, an ordinance was passed which prevents any mixed-use zone changes in that area at all. People, right now, it's not, you can't do that. Am I right or wrong here?
You can request a mixed-use zone designation today, but you can't have multifamily component. You can only have a commercial component of that mixed use.
On the contiguous property?
On those contiguous property.
But you can't have the multifamily component.
Unless the applicant requests multifamily, they have to enter into a zoning development agreement with the city to identify how that's going to be developed.
And we do not, that's discussion about whether or not that would be acceptable.
As part of that zone map request.
Right. So this ordinance is in effect until the Hutter bypass, for lack of a better term, is a done deal, which to me means, and if I'm on the council, if and when it ever does happen, the land is purchased and there's a permit to initiate construction and things like that. So we're talking 856 acres right there. So that in combination with the reduction of the dwelling units per acre, which result in 9,867 fewer potential residential apartments, I think is an awful lot that we've done towards reducing the density. And the people who are saying, you guys aren't doing anything, I'm hoping this will educate those people to those numbers so that they know what's going on. There's also a lot of talk going on, and I'm going to read something here. The new future land use map and zoning facilitates high-density development. Even more important, however, is that special use permits are no longer needed for multifamily structures once properties have been rezoned mixed use. This means property owners cannot build, or property owners can build large-scale apartments without public hearings. To me, when I heard that last night, and especially if I didn't have a clue, I would think that they were saying that the landowner can build without having to go through planning commission and council and have public hearings, which they do now at planning and the council before they are approved to do things like this. So I guess I need to do this. Related to this discussion on residential, multifamily, and mixed use, people don't seem to understand what's happening. So In early 2021, residential multifamily zone and standards existed like any other zone. Ordinance 619, when was that?
April of 2021.
April of 2021, repealed and replaced Title 11. This removed the residential multifamily standards from the code, but did not rezone any residential multifamily parcels. Until Ordinance 623 was adopted, is that the interim ordinance?
I don't know, I don't have a computer, so, okay.
Until Ordinance 623 was adopted in September of 2021, no standards existed in Hayden City Code to regulate uses, setbacks, etc. in the residential multifamily zone. Ordinance 623, the current interim ordinance that expires September 28th or 9th, okay, reinstated standards in September last to provide guidance for property owners and staff for development in the zone. September 2022, the standards adopted through the ordinance expire. Section 11.2.3 and 11.2.4 do not include RM residential multifamily standards, so upon expiration of the interim ordinance, no use, setback, etc. standards will exist to regulate development in the residential multifamily zones, unless City Council either rezones the residential multifamily parcels to another zone or adopt standards for residential multifamily zone on a permanent basis. Those are the facts. At a workshop, the City Council decided to pursue, and I believe we were all there, mixed residential. Okay, so for those of you who probably weren't present at the workshop or present or whatever, that is what has happened in relation to some of these. So I will finish here by saying, and I've always said, and I've been involved with this before I was elected, I want to see this room looking like this every time. I want people to come in and express their feelings, their opinions, and what they want. But it is vital that you yourselves, and I know it's time consuming and hard, okay, educate yourself as to the codes, the standards, the zones, and what have you, other than depending on what other people tell you. And they give you their opinion and their interpretation of what it is, okay? Because everybody, me included, everybody when they look at things has an agenda, okay? So what I have found in the last, it's been almost a year and a half of being involved in all of this, is that the only one I trust is myself for the most part. I'm going to gather information, but then I'm going to do everything I can to verify it to myself and validate it so that I believe I'm making the most educated decision that is in what I believe. Questions I ask on anything. Number one, is it in the best interest of the city and the people of the city? That's the first thing for consideration for anything, as well as then how does it fit codes and standards and criteria and all of that. But again, I would just implore you, because this is an emotional issue. And as we move along here, it's becoming more emotional. And things are kind of fraying a little bit at times. So if you are interested and concerned, please talk to staff. They're great. They will give you any information you want. If you question, well, how, whatever, you can look at the codes, you can look at the statutes, you can look at the criteria. And if you are really that concerned, which I hope you are, okay, there are, with the internet nowadays, you can find this information, you can find the code statutes and read them yourself and make your own decisions. And that's basically what I would ask you to do. Know the facts, know what's happening, and we have significantly addressed better management of the density that is projected by the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or observations from any other council member?
Not this time.
Fonda, I have a question for you. Many of the folks here tonight are very interested in the wetlands and subdivision issue. Are we allowed to speak to them about that?
You can speak with them privately after the meeting if you would like. It wouldn't be appropriate to address from the dais a comment that was made in public comment period. And it's my understanding, and I've not been asked to address this issue at all, but it's my understanding that the comment is based on a project that already has an approved preliminary plat by which the appeal period has already expired, and the project's not ready to go to final plat yet. So, but if they would like to discuss it with you privately.
Is it appropriate for us to, after this meeting is over, to walk around the dais here and engage folks that might like to chat about it?
I would
or-
just stay where you are and let them come to you if they have questions.
Okay. Keep something between me and the rest of it.
Yeah, keep some, it makes our law enforcement feel better.
Yes, sir.
Again, this discussion, and I think most people understand, there's some things that we can't talk about because it's pending action, for lack of a better term. And we would love to be able to have that discussion, but we can't.
The other issue is that this will come to a final plat, which will have an appeal period, and we don't want to do anything that jeopardizes the final plat and the appeal period at that time.
Understand.
All
right.
My final point is, I'll sit here till the sun comes up tomorrow if people want to come up and talk to me, and I will talk to anybody, as I'm sure everybody else will, about everything that we possibly can talk. I don't think there's anybody up here who doesn't want to be as transparent as possible, okay? Just understand there's some things we can't talk about, but we want we want as many people fully engaged as possible, and we're here to answer and help you as best as we possibly can.
That being said, do I hear a motion for adjournment? Oh, you bet.
Yeah, Mayor,
Council President
if I
Rowe.
may, I know we can't, the audience, but I'd like to ask our city staff two questions, if I may, relating to a topic, why the people are here. I just have two questions, if I may. And Fonnie, you can say, no, you can't answer it, or whatever. All right, number one, and this is there a wetlands located on this Stone Creek North development, yes or no?
The staff can comment on what was provided in the original application, which has already been approved in the form of a preliminary plat.
That's not the answer to the question.
No, I'm just telling her, and please let me finish.
So, the Department Army Corps of Engineers, they were asked, part of the annexation requirements for the whole project required that at the time of their subdivision application, they get a wetlands determination from the Army Corps of Engineers. So at the very first part of application submittal, we received a jurisdictional analysis from the Army Corps of Engineers, and that was in staff review that was presented to council, planning and zoning, city council, everybody got it. That jurisdictional analysis determined that there are wetlands, as Mr. Akiyama had noted, that they is property that meets the wetlands definition, but that the Army Corps of Engineers it's non-jurisdictional wetlands, and the Army Corps of Engineers does not require a permit.
A 404 fill permit.
Right, does not require a permit. We called the Army Corps of Engineers when we got that and talked to them extensively about what their requirements are, and they do not want to see these subdivision plans. They do not want to see a plan. They don't want to, they do not have a permit. So staff sent out agency notices to all of the agencies, just as a follow-up to this, all of the state agencies, Idaho Department of Environmental Quality, Idaho Department of Lands, Idaho Department of Water Resources, U.S. Fish and Game, all of them. I mean, everybody we could even remotely think of that would be connected to these wetlands, because we knew that there was water on the east side of the property, and that there was drainage area. And we did reach out to them. We reached out by noticing, sending them emails. We reached out again by phone calls. Idaho Department of Environmental Quality, that Mr. Akiyama noted in his presentation, did respond back as far as planning and zoning, and they requested that a joint permit process happen with the Idaho Department of Water Resources, Idaho Department of Lands, and the Army Corps of Engineers. We sent Mr. Robert Steed from Idaho Department of Environmental Quality, the Army, the Department of the jurisdictional analysis that the Army Corps provided, and subsequent to that, July 2020, I think it was 2020, letter, they sent a follow-up email that basically rescinded the request for that joint permit. We reached out again to Idaho Department of Lands and Idaho Department of Water Resources, as were noted in Mr. Steed's initial request, and they both said they did not want it, they had no comments, they had no conditions, they had no permit requirements. I don't know what to do.
So that's question number one.
I don't know what to do.
I would like to address something about that. Yesterday and today, I spent a couple of hours on the phone with Robert Steed of the Idaho Division of Environmental Quality and Megan Reeland of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and her job is to protect wetlands. She remembered the situation. She remembered the field trip that the Corps of Engineers went out on. I said, are there any conditions that we should be putting on this wetlands? And she said, we stand by our initial report, and Mr. Steed also stood by his initial determination and his withdrawal of the request. They would go no further. We are not deaf to this. We understand the concern. This is what we're hearing from the people that regulate stuff.
Question two?
Yeah, question two. Maybe it'll lead into three, depending on where this goes. So here we go.
Can I interrupt you one more time? I'm sorry, we can't take questions right now. It's not appropriate. However, once the meeting is over, we'll be very happy to chat with you. I'm sorry, sir, not right now.
I'm just going to throw it out there, Mr. Mayor. Can I make a public comment which everybody in this audience can hear, just as an anecdotal information?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, but by council rules, you cannot.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Mayor, after the meeting, he could, right?
I'd be happy to listen to it after the
Or after
meeting.
adjournment, could he just,
Or during public comment in the next meeting?
Or the next, yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Roder.
Okay, so let me rethink where I'm at. All right.
Question two.
The second question is, just for a fact and doing a little research, that Hayden Lake, out of all the lakes that discharge into the Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer, it gives the most water to the aquifer than any other lake, Ponderay, Coeur d'Alene, Spear, Twin, that are within the recharge area. There we go, the recharge area of the Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer. And do you see any creek or river coming out of Hayden Lake? No, it's because what happens is that the way the soil is near Honeysuckle, if you know where the dike is, that water then goes down into the aquifer. It is it's part of the recharge of of that aquifer. And we all know that aquifer is critical because it supplies drinking water for about 500,000 people in eastern Washington and northern Idaho. So in relationship to my concern is, and I'm going to lead to my question here, is that there is a flow, if you will, of water, because I have seen the inventory map of the wetlands that we're talking about, and it does show water up near the rim rock area that does eventually move, because that soil is clay. It does move and continues to go. It forms a creek and it disappears. Well, guess where it goes? In the aquifer. So my question is, have we asked the Cooney County Aquifer Protection District, and we all pay taxes to that district for that purpose of protecting our sole source of water. So my question is, have we asked them, are they concerned about this, just the recharging from that water into the aquifer? I know that in this Association of Idaho Cities, there was the discussion of recharging the aquifers in Idaho, even where they're taking water that's treated from the sewer plants and putting it in. They can take so much out, but they have to put it in. Now, we may have so much water, it really doesn't matter, but my concern is, do we want to limit or have the possibility of limiting a recharge point into the Rathdrum Prairie aquifer? And we should be asking that district, I guess the question is, have we asked for their response?
I don't think I have a contact for them. I haven't asked specifically to that district.
I know Leslie Duncan, our current county commissioner, was a chair of that, but no longer is. I know it does exist, and I do know that they have test wells throughout areas in Kootenai County where they're constantly testing. Ken's shaking his head to make sure that our sewer plant is not affecting it in any way. And so my concern is the aquifer. We have one aquifer. And going back to this in Sun Valley, this one aquifer, it only recharges it once a year. In other words, it has to get enough water for 1 year usage. And I know our aquifer's a lot bigger than that, but there is a concern about also the water right. Is there a water right associated with that water through that wetlands as to who owns that water right and who has control of that water right? And these are important issues that I would hope that we could take a look at and clarify whether they are issues or not. Maybe we'll just say, c'est la vie, or none. But I would like us to look a little deeper into this, please.
I'm working hard to keep my mouth shut.
Do we have any other?
Meeting.
Do we have any other comments from council members? Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
We don't need one.
Okay, we're adjourned.
True.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, me too.